Barcelona are on fire.
I don't care where you're from. If you tell me that you love football and you don't love Barcelona.
Since 2011 have a team retained this trophy, but Barcelona have done it tonight.
And if you think the Super Cup victory isn't much to show for, think again. Before this, they beat Espanyol 3-1 in La Liga. That's 9 consecutive wins, 53 goals in 19 La Liga matches, 4 points clear at the top. The reigning Spanish champions won La Liga averaging over 3 goals per game last year. That should have been their peak, but in this season, they've gone past it. After 19 games last season, 38 points, 12 wins, 5 losses. This season, 47 points, 15 wins, 2 losses. They're not just better, they're operating on a completely different level, and it starts with a loss that everyone thought would break them. On October 26, 2025, Real Madrid destroyed Barcelona at the Bernabeu. The game made it look like the beginning of Barcelona's collapse. Real Madrid increased their lead at the top and sat 5 points clear above the Catalan club. But what people failed to realize, they were nowhere near their usual strength. The squad was depleted with injuries and almost had to rely on kids to keep them competitive. That game should have been their unraveling. Instead, it became their turning point. Since that Madrid defeat, Barcelona haven't just recovered. They've been given a straight line of performances that looked impossible. They are missing key players like Araujo, and for the most part, they were without Rafinha. But that hasn't slowed them one bit. At the start of the season, it was Rashford, Yamal, and Fermin Lopez carrying Barcelona through victories. But right now, with the return of Rafinha, they're in an even better shape. We've seen them dominate before, like they did in 2008 or in 2014-15 when they won the treble. But for the star power in those teams, it was expected. Today, it's more than just the players. It's down to the brains of their coach, Hansi Flick. What Hansi Flick has built at Barcelona since his arrival isn't just a tactical setup, it's a system designed to remove hesitation from football. Imagine having only a budget of 88 million and a group of kids over 2 seasons, and still delivering performance after performance that feels unnatural. Flick has implemented the structure that forces opponents to make decisions earlier than they want to, and it all starts with this core ideology, which is a total disregard for the defense. Barcelona's defense was supposed to be their weakness. Losing Araujo should have exposed them. Playing Martin, a left-back, at centre-back alongside Kubasi shouldn't have worked. But it has, brilliantly. Flick's high line isn't new, but the execution is different. Last season, the line was aggressive, but occasionally reckless. This season, it's coordinated chaos, it's timing, and being willing to fight for each other. The centre-backs step up together, the midfield line forms a cohesive unit, and the offside trap isn't reactive, it's planned. By the time the attackers think the run is on, the line has already moved. Martins' transition from left-back to centre-back has been seamless, because Flick doesn't need traditional centre-backs. He needs defenders comfortable with space behind them, defenders who are ball-playing ones. Kubasi ranks in the top 10 for line-breaking passes in La Liga. Martin provides the recovery pace and positional intelligence. And with the arrival of Joao Cancelo as a January signing, all corners in defense are well covered. But even when the opponents beat the trap, there's a phenomenal shot stopper in Juan Garcia. Take a look at this sequence. Three crucial saves against Espanyol. That game was also his 7th clean sheet in La Liga. Performances like these are keeping Ter Stegen and Fabianski on the bench. Together, from keeper to defense, Barcelona are conceding fewer shots than teams who sit deep. That's not luck, that's structure. When Barcelona win the ball, they don't circulate possession endlessly like Guardiola's era. Flick has implemented rapid build-up play that almost always ends up with a shot on goal. Casado has stepped up on numerous occasions, not only for the injured Gavi or De Jong, but also when Eric Garcia moved to centre-back covering for Araujo. Together with Pedri, they form a pivot that isn't tasked with controlling tempo. They're instructed to compress phases, use fewer touches, and progress faster. The ball reaches the wingers in dangerous positions within seconds, not minutes. And this is where Barcelona becomes truly dangerous, because when it comes to forward play, Hansi Flick breaks traditions completely. There isn't a fixed striker role anymore. Lewandowski may start centrally, but he will drift wide. He might not even be the focal point. It could be Rafinha cutting inside, it could be Rashford arriving late. More often than not, it's Fermin Lopez appearing in the blind spot. And goals come from everywhere, and that's intentional. Yamal doesn't stay wide, Rafinha doesn't stay high, Rashford doesn't stay central. Olmo floats between the lines. The football is so fluid you actually can't catch them. Instead of one player pulling defenders, the entire front line rotates responsibility. This is why defenders hesitate. Who do you step out for? Who do you track? Who do you pass on to? Every hesitation becomes a chance, and when it comes to build-ups, Barcelona stretches the pitch horizontally. But not to cross, they stretch it to collapse it. Wingers hold width just long enough to pin fullbacks. When Marcus Rashford arrived to Barcelona, it looked like a gamble. Instead, he's been a revelation. While Rafinha was injured for the first half of the season, Rashford provided the direct threat Barcelona needed. 8 goal contributions already. But more importantly, he's given Flick tactical flexibility. Perhaps the most significant weapon is the press. Under Flick, pressing has quietly gone under the radar despite being one of the reasons they are so dominant. If Barcelona lose the ball, they don't chase blindly. They close passing angles, which is why opponents' attacks die quickly. But a system can only go so far. It's nothing without the actual players, and that's where these guys become even deadlier. Yamal's talent isn't news to anyone anymore. What's changed is how Flick uses them. He doesn't hug the touchline much. He appears between the lines, receives on the half turn, and forces 2 defenders to commit instantly. Every time Yamal touches the ball, the entire defensive block tilts towards him. And the moment that happens, Barcelona are already winning somewhere else. Almost every attack comes through Yamal. But it won't be as effective if he doesn't have a partner who is equally deadly. For most of this season, Rafinha has been injured, but in his place, Rashford has proven to be more than just a backup. But ever since Rafinha's return, Barcelona have been on a roll. This isn't the Rafinha who used to drift in and out of games. This version is direct, ruthless, relentless. He doesn't need 5 touches, he needs space, and Flick's system manufactures it for him. But the system doesn't work if everything is vertical through the wings alone. That's where Fermin Lopez, or sometimes Dani Olmo, comes in. Fermin isn't flashy. He's violent with timing, late runs, blindside arrivals, one-touch finishes. He's the player defenders forget about until it's too late. While everyone tracks Yamal, while everyone worries about Rafinha, Fermin appears in the half space and ends the move. This season he has already scored 8 goals, which is his entire goal tally from last season. And speaking of Rafinha, let's talk about his Ballon d'Or snub. Rafinha wasn't even in the conversation last season despite Barcelona winning La Liga. That disrespect clearly motivated him. Since returning from injury, Rafinha has been unplayable. 2 goals and an assist against Bilbao. Constant threat against Espanyol. This isn't the inconsistent winger who drifted in and out of games. You might be confused with how many players we name that are adapting to Hansi Flick's football. But that's what makes Barcelona so dominant. With the rotation and the constant changes, it brings us to the next question. How did Flick actually achieve this? Flick didn't try to recreate Guardiola's Barcelona or copy his Bayern tactics. He fused principles from both eras. Positional discipline that Guardiola believes in, vertical intent from Flick's Bayern Munich days, physical conditioning that is prominent in Germany, distributed responsibility based on modern football. And he added something Barcelona rarely had before: indifference to stars. This team doesn't need one player to perform exceptionally, it needs the structure to hold. That's why injuries haven't derailed them, that's why losses don't lead to collapse, that's why the numbers don't spike and then crash. When Barcelona win, it feels normal. When they lose, it feels strange. Even when Barcelona eventually drops points, the numbers will not be affected. They remain the only side in La Liga to have scored in 39 consecutive games. This far into the season is usually where the illusion that Barcelona are good breaks. They might have a bad week, a shaky run, a defensive collapse, but it hasn't happened, and we may never see it. Most teams that score this freely end up conceding chances in bunches. Most teams this young lose control when the schedule tightens. Most teams that are this aggressive burn out once injuries start stacking. Barcelona haven't. Their output hasn't spiked and dipped. They are consistently on an upward trend, and all signs indicate that they are performing better than they did last season. That's the reason why Europe should be afraid. And when you put the numbers side by side across Europe, elite teams still cluster together. Manchester City, Real Madrid, Arsenal, PSG, Bayern. Different leagues, different styles, but statistically they live in the same neighborhood. Chance creation, goals conceded, shot volume, defensive workload. And then there's Barcelona. Not dramatically ahead, that would be obvious, but quietly detached. Fewer shots conceded than teams that sit deep, more goals than teams that gamble, higher shot quality without higher shot volume. That combination doesn't usually exist. It means they're not forcing the game, they're engineering it. This isn't peak Barcelona turning the screw. This Barcelona is unpredictable in the worst possible way for everyone else. Barcelona have created a version of themselves that no one wants to face. A team built on structure, not stars. A team that responds to adversity by getting better. A team that lost to Madrid and hasn't looked back since. Hansi Flick has transformed Barcelona from last season's champions into this season's machine. Rashford has provided quality and tactical flexibility. Martin and Kabasi have formed a solid backline that shouldn't work on paper but dominates in reality. Garcia has delivered world-class performances, keeping world-class keepers out of the starting 11. Rafinha has answered the Ballon d'Or snub with brilliance, and the entire system just keeps producing. The real question isn't about wins, goals, or even La Liga. The real question is, can they finally get the job done in Europe?